This is a fantastic series that I'm enjoying. And it seems by those of you that are out there that I know well, you're nodding your head and you're saying, wow, I need to think about it. What have I missed? Who have I shut out? If God truly has prepared the what and the who, the why is there. You know why you're here. You know what you want to do. You've got it. I went through a great deal with a pastor friend one time. His whole deal was about, if you ever figure out the why, hey, I got the why. The why is he put it in my heart, and I know what I'm about. The what and the who, wow, that's something you can miss very easily. But I'm going to go right back to where we were yesterday, where Moses is being asked by God, what's in your hand? He just says, a rod. But you remember, God, I was down in Egypt and I had a royal scepter. You know, we always want to go for the high times and remind people of the high times. Where are you right now? What do you have in your hand? Well, okay, a rod. Jesus Christ will never ask you to do what you have not been equipped for. If you feel like you are not equipped to do the job, you are looking too far down the road. He simply wants you to answer the question, what do you have in your hand? He's not asking you for a vision statement. He's not asking you for a plan. He's not doing to you what other religious rulers are doing to you to make you feel inferior. If you don't use their system, if you don't do what they do, then you're not with it. You're not a part of the great growth program. Listen to me. God didn't call everybody to do the same thing. When you answer, you must be able to answer without hesitation. And if you have so many voices in your head of people telling you how you ought to do it, then you're lost. You are equipped to do the job. Quit looking so far down the road. Can you take one step and put it in front of the other? Can you do daily sometimes what you don't want to do? I mean, there's some days in my life when I just couldn't hardly pull myself out of the bed and get going. But when I popped up and began to move and to go in partnership with my Lord and Savior, Jesus Christ, I could answer the question, what have I got in my hand today? What is the joy of the day? I still look for it. I'll look for the gift of the day. Sometimes it's a piece of trash laying on the side of the road that I stop my pickup and yes, at my old age and at the position in life, I still pick up stuff out of trash. People set it on the curb. They give it to you. It's curb. It's curb free. I'm going to pick it up and put it in there. It has use for me. Without hesitation, stop the truck. Oh boy, there's a nice fire pit. Boom. Because I know I have the beginnings of the end that Jesus Christ had in mind. Now, I'm just going to stop here with Moses, but I will tell you that he gave him a secret that day. He told him, throw down the rod. He threw the rod on the ground. It started to wither like a snake. Sometimes the things you have in your hand, when you put them into the place of action for the Almighty, they wither like a snake. And you wonder if God is a million miles in close proximity to you. That thing's withering on the ground, but he told him again, pick it back up. Whatever you have that you have thrown on the ground, it was the what? Whoever you threw on the ground. Some things I walk away from. Some people I do not associate with anymore because God has separated me. The Bible teaches us that some people we are not even to speak to. But be careful when you're making those judgments. Be careful. Be like the car lot owner. Everybody's got a nephew, an uncle, a cousin, or somebody, and if you make everybody mad, you're not going to be able to influence anybody. Remember, you have the beginnings of the end that Jesus Christ had in mind. And if he says, throw down the rod for the time being, move over into this sector, do this, do that, put it down. It may wriggle like a snake. But when you feel that thing in your heart that says, pick it back up, woo, reach down and take that snake. No, I'm not talking about Kentucky here. Don't send me a bunch of YouTubes where guys are picking up snakes and getting bitten and dying. That's their own fantasy of something he was talking about. He was talking about when he said you'll pick up serpents. It's not talking about a literal snake that's going to bite you. It's talking about things that act erroneously to the will of God. When Moses picked that serpent back up, it went back into the rod that was designed. He would not use that again until he was in front of Moses or in front of Pharaoh. He's going back to set the people free. He would not use that setting again. But now this inclination in his spirit, this idea in front of him, comes to express authority, because here's these magicians in front of him. Oh, Pharaoh's got all the witch doctors working, man. They got this going on, that going on, the other. And he does something they cannot do. He turns a piece of wood into a snake. Now, they were fearful of snakes because the vipers will bite them and die, and they had many bad vipers in those days. And I don't know what kind of snake God made it look like. And your protection many times is in what you're willing to let go of, acting without hesitation. What you're willing to sow. Remember when I talked about the power of honoring God with a tithe? The strength of that and the power, putting God first. When you throw something out, when you pick it back up, wow, the authority. Can you imagine witch doctors who were magicians, fooling the people, devils who were acting out? The minute they saw him reach over and pick up that snake with authority, ooh, I've done it. You've done it. You just didn't recognize it. Why don't you take a little time and meditate today and think about how many times you picked up a snaky situation and it turned back into a rod in your hand with which you could rule with and work with. I'm not talking about a royal scepter. I'm talking about a rod to do the work with. Moses' rod was a rod of action, a rod of leading, messaging, warming, feeding, clothing, taking care of people. And we have to act without hesitation. There was one other thing that he told him to do that day. And you know, we're always doing miracles. You say, well, I've never done a miracle. Oh, I bet you have. And I'm not a gambling Las Vegas type person, but I bet you have. What did he tell Moses? He said, take your hand and put it in your bosom. So Moses obediently acted without hesitation and put his hand inside. He brought it out, and ooh, was he freaked out. I am telling you, Moses was a man, just like you are a man or a woman right now listening to me, and there are some things that God asks you to do, you think, oh my God. Been a lot of Sunday afternoons I wondered, why did I say that? Why did I do that? And then I get with people that say, you know, you might not ought to mention that, or you might not ought, you're always talking about this, or you're always talking about that, or you're doing this. Man, that hand was out there. What did it look like? Your Bible says that Moses' hand was a leprous hand. Now, leprosy they had no cure for. He knew whatever he touched. He couldn't even go to church. He couldn't worship anymore. He was to be an outcast. What are you going to do to me, God? And some things in life that we do cause us to be outcast. A called person, a separated person. Well, I don't want any of that. Then let me tell you, you probably will never reach the full potential if you never have one of those experiences. Because almost everything I've ever known separates people at one time or another. And then there are I've been with the great crowd, been without the great crowd. I see sometimes on television or on the internet great auditoriums and great pulpits and people speaking in them that I know. And I think I was there. I've been to that. I've spoke from that pulpit. I know what that is. I understand that. But I tell you, I'd rather be right here on Take 10 with you, sitting in your car or sitting in Starbucks or sitting in your office and telling you these things. And I still do. I still go to those places, those great congregations and those great places. But it's not a goal anymore. In fact, I turn down more than I accept. But I'm telling you right now, my goal is to act without hesitation in bringing you strength and telling you, you have the beginnings of the end that Jesus Christ has in mind for you. Say that. I have the beginnings of the end that Jesus Christ has in mind. And most of you are just members of the ICCI that get this. And I know, you're all out there. And you pay $260 dues to pay every year. So does that sound like I'm doing this for money? Does it sound like that no matter how many thousand of you there become, the work of the office and the work that we do cost as much as that? So I'm not here for your money. I accept honor, I accept kindness, I accept goodness, but I believe that my beginnings of the end of what Jesus Christ had in mind for me was to spend the time I have left on this earth to come to you in venues like this and strengthen you, that I must act without hesitation. This thought came to me you may be watching this maybe 5-6 days from now or 10 days from now, whatever, but it was in a night. The very next morning, I walked into the studio and set down all of these lessons because I know that it's time sensitive, and I want to be the what and the who for you. We want to be those where you go to ministry launch and you get in a group and you work with those people and you find out how to get a loan for your program, or you find out how to do this, or you find out how to get a housing allowance, or you find out how to make things go easier and better in your groups, your small groups. Maybe you don't have any staff, and we can show you how to completely staff your church on the internet. We can show you how to have groups all across the country that can help you with your divorcees that need to have a group to be in, your PTSD that needs to have a group in, how to be involved in a worldwide situation that will help you. Why? Because we acted without hesitation. I want you to act without hesitation. Moses pulled that hand out, and it was not what he wanted to see. Remember, the scourge of rebuke of friends is the hardest thing you'll ever receive. People you thought loved you now don't love you. So you have to act without hesitation to go forward and remove yourself from those situations that have kept you stymied. Here's what God said, and I'm going to leave you with this today. God said to Moses, put your hand back in your clothes. He put that leper's hand back, not knowing if he would ever touch his wife again, not knowing if he would ever hug his children, not knowing if he would be cast out of his job because he can't be feeding the sheep like that. But when he pulled that hand back out, he was made whole. He would not use that. He would not use, you must hear me, he would not use that miracle until he was standing before Pharaoh's magicians again. And it wasn't a look what I can do kind of deal, which is what the preachers of this day and age. I mean, if people had that thing where they could stick their hand in and get the leprosy out, put it back in and gone, oh boy, we'd see them all over, and everybody'd rush to get under the hand that's been healed and pay their dollar to do it. But that's not what he did it for. It was in a time when he was ready to move 6.5 million people away. And I feel like I'm going a little long today, but I'm just saying to you, God is saying to you, there's going to be a time that you can use even those things that look so bad. God bless you. I'm praying for you, and I'm with you. See you tomorrow.